In this video, I'm going to be looking at writing an inequality from a graph. So we looked at actually graphing these inequalities. Now we're going to be given the graph, and we're going to have to actually write the inequality that that graph represents. So there are going to be three basic steps that we're going to follow to figure these out. The first one is to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So this goes back to a couple units ago when we learned about writing the equation of a graph. Then second, we need to determine whether the inequality is less than or greater than. So we need to use what we learned earlier in this lesson, and that is that if the shading is below the line, the inequality is less than, and if the shading is above the line, the inequality is greater than. And then thirdly, we need to determine whether we need that line underneath our inequality or not, and that's going to be based on whether it is a dashed or solid. And so if it's a dashed line, we'll leave it as strictly less than or greater than. However, if it's a solid line, we're going to be putting that line underneath, so it'll be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So let's look at a few examples. So looking at number one, my first step is I just want to figure out what the equation of this line is. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Instead of having equals, I'm going to have some inequality in there, so I'm just going to leave a space for now and put mx plus b. So I need to figure out what my slope is and what my y-intercept is. So I like to go ahead and start with my y-intercept, and that's where the line crosses the y-axis. So I'm looking at my y-axis here, and I see the line crosses at y equals 1. So that means that my b value is 1. And then I need to see what my slope is, so how much it rises over runs to get to the next point. So I'm going to look for another place where this dashed line crosses the grid evenly, and I see there's another point right here. So I'm going to see how much it rises first, and so I see it goes up 1, 2, 3. Over 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope here is 3/4. So I have y 3/4 x plus 1. But now I need to figure out what that inequality is. So I first going to see, okay, is it shaded above or below the line? Well, I see the shading is above the line, and so we see from up here, if the shading is above the line, then inequality is greater than. And then I see this is a dashed line, and so we learned from step 3 that that means that it's going to stay strictly greater than. And so that means that my inequality is y is greater than 3/4 x plus 1. Okay, let's look at this next one. So my first step is I want to figure out what my m is and what my b is, so I can write the equation of this line. So I like to always start with my y-intercept, and I see that this one is between -4 and -6. I see it's halfway between, so that means that this is going to be -5. And now since this doesn't cross evenly at a point, I want to find two other points to figure out my slope. And I see I have a point right here and a point right here. And so I go up 2 and to the left 2, 4. And remember, that's because all these lines are actually going up by 2. So that means that my slope is 2 over -4, which is equal to -1/2. So I have that the equation of the line is -1/2 x minus 5. You could have also done that from these 2 points. You just need to remember that this was up 1 and then this was left 2. So you could have used your y-intercept as well. And now I need to figure out what my inequality is. And so first I see that the shading is below. So since the shading is below the line, that means it's less than. And I see this line is solid, and so that means I need the line underneath. Again, you can remember that because line underneath, solid line, those kind of match up. And there's my answer. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try and do number 3 on your own. When you think you have it, go ahead and press play. So the answer you should have gotten for this one was y is greater than 2x minus 4. My y-intercept was at -4. The slope you should have gotten to be 2 over 1, which is just 2. Since this was shaded above, I want greater than, and since it was dashed, that means it's going to be strictly greater than.